yourself known to a member of staff if on duty. This meeting may be recorded. The meeting may also be recorded and broadcast by the press and members of the public. Please see Section 8 of the Guidance for Public Participation, including recording and use of social media at meetings. Thank you. We have apologies from Councillors Wade, Osborne, Councillor Alex Wade, Councillor Alex Wade, Councillor Osborne, Councillor Martinez and Councillor Shimon. Move on to the second, declarations of interest and dispensations. Has anybody got any relating to this agenda? Thank you. Number 3, community safety update. We would be receiving a report from the police, but unfortunately they can't come this time. We do understand that Inspector Orchard has left, but we're waiting to hear who is his replacement. The AXO's report was emailed around at the end of last week, so hopefully you've all seen it. Unfortunately, it seems to be they've been particularly busy with antisocial behaviour, which I'm sure is going to get worse with the summer holidays upon us. Item 4, to approve the minutes of the meeting of the full council held on the 17th of May 2023.
Yeah, just do the first page, second page, third page.
Right. Anybody got any comments on the first page? Anything on the second page? Anything on the third page? Anything on the fourth page? And finally, anything on the last fifth page? No.
Happy to accept the minutes as proposed.
Proposed? Seconded? All those in favour of the minutes? Thank you. Can I ask someone to sign them?
You do sign them.
I signed it.
Well done.
Okay, I have a few chairman's announcements. You would have seen circulated was Alex's comments had he been here. So for me, first of all, we've received a thank you from the Citizens Advice of the New Forest for our very kind and generous grant of £3,538 to help them to support residents in the area. Please accept the letter as confirmation of receipt. Our support is much appreciated as it allows them to maintain and further develop their advice and information services for residents of the New Forest in these challenging times, and they thank us again for the support. In terms of items that are occurring, we have got this Saturday in St Andrew's Church Hall in Dibden Parish, the Horticulture and Craft Show. The following weekend, Saturday the 5th of August, is the Hythe Activity and the Community Spirit Awards. That's obviously being held in Hythe from about 10 o'clock with the awards towards the close of everything at around 3. Also on the same day, there is a celebration of the 100 years of the WI Community Hall in Loondale Road, Dibden Parish, something that I myself have visited with my daughter for brownies, lots. There will be a display of old and new photographs, anecdotes, etc., refreshments and a raffle with proceeds going to the League of Friends of Hythe Hospital. It's being held between 3 and 6. You can do one and go along to the second one and see the improvements that they've made to bring the hall into the 21st century. Final note is that the completion of the lease to the Handy Trust is with the solicitors. So if I can bring us to number 6, reports by parents and district members. Can I ask Councillor Wade to report from County?
Thank you, Chairman. First of all, I have to apologise. The original report is a little bit lengthy because it's a few things that happened. But I received some very important information from the County Council about 5:30 this evening that I wish to share in a very abridged version with the Council, but it will be forwarded around. So for the original report, since the last Council meeting, I've attended all 3 of the committees I serve on in Children's Services, plus some training and corporate parenting board, and covered many issues affecting young people in Hampshire. One of the main issues we looked at is children on the Children Select Committee was home to school transport costs. School transport is provided to around 13,500 school and college students each year, broken down as follows. Primary mainstream, 1,600. Spend in 22-23 is 2.6 million. Secondary mainstream is 8,000. Spend is 9.2 million. Send special needs children is 3,000. Spend is 26 million, 26.9 million. Post-16 spend is 750 young people, that's 3.7 million. And alternative provision is 200, and that's 0.9 million. Following the update of the school's transport policy in 2022, no new transport arrangements that make the use of shared pickup points in multiple schools have been implemented. Service will continue to look at optimising routes in line with tendering and commissioning strategy, whilst ensuring individual needs on a case-by-case basis. However, the 25-26 estimated costs will be for primary mainstream 3.1 million, secondary mainstream 9.1 million, special needs 47.1 million, post-16 special needs 9.6 million, other 1.2 million, total 70 million. There's a shortage of places at dedicated special SEND schools. Since 2014, the number of special school places has risen by 34%. The number of children with an EHCP has risen by 155% over the same time scale. Not all children with an EHCP need to go to a special school, but the rise in numbers creates extra pressure on places. The result of this is when a school place is found for a child, it is likely to be further away, so transport is more expensive. Since last year, a number of improvements have been implemented in the school transport service. 3 areas of focus were identified as a priority for improvement, which directly relate to the quality of service for parents' carers. 1, eligibility and assessment decisions. 2, tendering and commissioning strategy. 3, passenger assistant recruitment. This is, of course, the worst case scenario. Whilst EHCPs and SENDs are on the increase, there must be a levelling off of costs rise at some stage. However, the complex needs children need the service, so Hythe County Council has to find a way to deliver it more effectively. In addition, we discussed the autism service, commissioned services, supporting Down syndrome and children in care report. Currently, there are 1,800 children in care in Hampshire, foster care, children's homes, etc. With a further 868 special guardians who have parental responsibility. Last Thursday, I attended the full council meeting. We had 2 motions, one about supporting Gurkha's veterans' pensions and welfare, and another about combating underage vaping. Both were solidly supported by all members. We were told Hampshire County Council's plans for domination with an elected mayor are finally over. The government would only have a county deal based upon whole county, but the 3 unitaries, Southampton, Portsmouth and the Isle of Wight, wanted 2 deals, one for themselves and another for the rest of the county, so it's no deal. This will allow councils now to get on real business of working Hampshire residents without this unnecessary distraction. And while it sounds quite frightening, that cost for SEND children, that they are, as common with, dare I say it, many council officers, they always look at the worst case scenario rather than the best case scenario, so you don't ever get the position where it's more than they thought it will be, it's usually less. But some of these young children really do need special transport. The one thing I want to add, Chairman, is I received information this evening about Redbridge Causeway Package 3 concrete repairs. I'll brief it and I'll send this around for all council members so you can read it in detail. During the recent reworking and resurfacing work, they have encountered several unexpected defects in both the bridge, decks and the underlying pavement layers around the bridges. These issues were hidden beneath the old surfacing material and therefore only visible once it was removed. That's a surprise, isn't it? Anyway, this is what it is. Large unexpected defects, voids and corroding reinforcing bars on the top surface of the concrete bridges, voids in the granular fill material between the bridge supports, cracks in underlying pavement layers between the bridges, blocked drainage gullies with damaged cover frames, loose, crumbling material beneath the edge of the concrete crash barrier along the full length of the eastbound bridges, defects to the abandoned service chambers of the road between the bridges. The impact of this is that there's going to be some changes to the work programme. It is due to end in November. There is no one said that that isn't going to be the case, but the eastbound carriageway re-watering, resurfacing works are therefore expected to be completed by mid-August. The current lane 2 closure of the eastbound A35 will remain in place until these works have been carried out. Now there will be several overnight closures. Right, the eastbound A35 full closures will be during the night only from 8 p.m. to 6 p.m. on the dates below. Where consecutive nights are listed, the road will reopen during the intervening daytime periods 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. However, lane 2 of the eastbound category will remain closed 24/7 throughout. Right, just briefly, 8 p.m. Friday the 4th of August until 6 a.m. the 5th of August, 8 p.m. Saturday the 5th of August until 6 a.m. the 6th, and 8 p.m. Sunday the 6th until 6 a.m. the 7th. It then is the same pattern on the Saturday, Sunday and Monday the 12th and 13th, and finally on the 20th and 21st. During the full closures, the A30 roundabout will be completely closed in Rushington roundabout and Redbridge. However, there will be simplistically an alternative route where you go up the A326 along there and down the other side, along the motorway and down. For non-motorway traffic, you've got no problem. There are maps to this. And that's it really, Shirley. So it's the Redbridge flyover is a gift that continues to be given. I will email that round for everybody tomorrow.
Thank you, Councillor Wade. You've just made the rest of my autumn depressing travelling into work.
Sorry about that.
So move on to the district councillors.
Excuse me, Chair, have we had a report from Councillor Malcolm?
No.
Thank you.
Shall we start with Councillor Clark?
No report.
No report. Councillor Cullen?
I attended the council meeting as with the other councillors. It was a bit disappointing that Councillor Osborne put forward a motion to support the bill that's going through Parliament, which all it would have required is for NFTC to write to our 2 MPs. They decided to kick it into the long grass and pass it to a committee. So they're not likely to make a decision until later on in the year. Quite sad, really.
Councillor Daniel? No, you're not a councillor, you're not a district head of mine. So is that it?
Councillor Campbell.
Councillor Daniel, sorry.
Thank you. Yes, I'm pleased to see that the District Council has now produced a guide for licensed premises to help manage and balance sometimes conflicting concerns supporting local business and independent musicians with the quality of life of neighbouring residents. This is available on the New Forest District Council website. It's hoped that following the sensible advice, it will reduce cases where relationships break down. Also, the footpath from the marina to Marchwood has now been repaired with a bridge over the Hall with the damaged water pipe, and I'd like to thank Councillor Malcolm Wade for help progressing this. That's the end of my district report.
Thank you. Item 7.
Excuse me.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Wade.
You know, God, Captain Audience, what is that? Right, okay. Since the last parish council meeting, I've attended 2 NFDC council meetings, 2 planning meetings, 1 cabinet meeting, and the inaugural meeting of the Place and Sustainability panel, which replaces the old environment and as well as another training sessions. Some highlights are there were no Hythe Dibden planning issues of the 2 planning meetings. In June, the cabinet meeting, there was arts and cultural paper which stated the Arts Council of England recognised New Forest was a priority area due to low cultural investment and community engagement, and the district may not have a cultural strategy. No surprise there. It highlighted the lack of focus, care and action by the district council as shown by the demolition of the Waterside Theatre with nothing planned to replace it. So NFDC is going to develop a cultural strategy. In the cabinet meeting, I was unable to attend, the other members attended in my way. The Place and Sustainability panel was quite slightly more interested in this. The administration combined the annual performance and budget outturn, an unusual combination. However, the administration had a huge underspend of 1.7 million, which after rephrasing put another 942,000 into reserve. The annual performances were based upon a number of inappropriate inept KPIs, with some with no targets, others not hitting the target that showed us on track. They were so bad, even the officers admitted to me there was much work to do with them. So I said the people employed deserve better than that. We also had an update on the ponderous waste strategy, which still doesn't know enough about waste minimisation and understand the impact of side waste extras to the wheelie bin. I was reassured that residents leaving out excess waste would not be instantly penalised, warned first. It would be a learning curve for them on this issue, I suspect. And in both the panel on the July Cabinet meetings, a new charging system for green waste, which came to the full council meeting this month. NFDC is introducing wheelie bins for green waste in 2024 and significantly raising the price accordingly. For example, the price of one green waste bag is currently £43, but for one wheelie bin it is rising to £65 a year, an approximate 40% increase, which is reflected in all green waste charges. On top of that, there will be a £25 charge for the bin itself and all second and third bins, unless you're one of the early adopters of the new charges. We put in an amendment supported by all our members, Liberal members, to not charge any users for the wheelie bins, as it's unfair to expect residents to pay for a charge NFDC want to bring in. The cost of bins will be met in the price rise in the first year anyway. And finally, another issue in the council meeting was the change of reporting cabinet issues, in which only items for discussion will be brought to the council when the decision will be brought to the council, when in effect disenfranchise any member who works and cannot get to a cabinet meeting from asking questions or raising issues. I and other members brought this to attention prior to the meeting, and other members again brought this to the Chief Exec and received a promise that we put that in.
Thank you. Councillor Hart.
It was sorry, there was one other thing I wasn't sure whether Councillor Carl was going to mention it. I copied everybody around about a short meeting with Barry's Field with various people from the district council. We haven't heard any feedback from that as to whether that's moved up the list or down the list, but I don't know whether Councillor Carl would agree with me. It seems to, we've certainly put up a robust defence of that bit of community land, didn't we? But I think we should, as a parish council, be more prepared. Although I recognise the clerk sent a note about that, but there is a long-term issue with that piece of land, and it's had something into place. I don't know what could we do, perhaps, but that's maybe a subject for another meeting or at some time.
Yeah, but just pick up on Councillor Clark, the portfolio holder they all thought it was valuable visiting the site. Portfolio holder expressed his opinion that he didn't think it was viable considering the floodplain, the railway, lots of the issues. Unfortunately, NFDC is trying to desperately meet its targets, and it looks a prime site because they own the land. When we asked about the police station, basically what they're saying is they can't afford to pay market rate for land, so they'll be looking at their own land. But I thought it was a favourable meeting, and I think they listened to what we'd said.
Thank you both. Item 7, reports from members serving on outside bodies. Councillor Delaby.
Thank you, Chair. I've got two things to talk about. This morning I attended the Dibden Allotments Fund monthly meeting, and one of the main things to note is that there's going to be a change of name to Waterside Community Fund starting from October the 1st. There's some leaflets that give the last year's summary of what the fund has done. And one of the charities that they do support or give grants to is Families Matter, and I attended their AGM last week, and they do a terrific amount of work across the board, working in schools, working with young preschool children and families with problems and so and or them to the other end of the spectrum with 2 groups for people with dementia and women's well-being and all sorts. There's a terrific amount of work they do, and it's really brilliant. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, it is appreciated what they do. Councillor Dowd, did you have
I did, yes, thank you. I'd first like to congratulate the newly formed Waterside Arts Committee for their tireless work in getting the Arts Week up and running. It was not the best weather, but it was good to see the various events in our local community. Funding from a variety of sources, including, for example, Exxon Culture in Common, which is part of the Arts Council, enabled prices to be kept to a minimum to encourage wider access. I'll report on the Waterside Climate Action Network. The Climate Action Network is gearing up for the Hythe activity on 5th of August, where visitors to the stall will be able to find out about sustainable living and be able to plant a seed. Many thanks to Fairweather's Garden Centre for supporting this venture. Thank you.
Thank you. From myself, I was one of the people that went to Esso on the tour round. Not serving on a public outside body, but it was an interesting visit with us and Hawley Parish Council going. The loud noise that usually comes from there is a lot quieter, and from a point of view, if you're interested in large bits of kit arriving, some of that has already arrived down in Hawley and will be heading up to the refinery at some point when there'll be some road closures.
Chair, Councillor.
Sorry, Councillor Harrison?
There's just one other thing about the Dibden Allotment Fund, the current value of its assets, of the fund actually, not its assets, the fund from this morning is 10.2 million.
Blimey.
Wow.
Well, they've taken some money out of their bank account as well to put into, because of inflation, to try and, we've got big inflation all the time.
And it's like with 2 or 3 million, isn't it? It's really,
I'd just like to congratulate Hythe Heritage Association for putting on the only event in the forest on 15th of July with a fantastic bottle of beer. I think it was a superb event. They tended to find a number of people here. I saw you there, Chris. I think they did a superb job, and over £9,000 raised for the charity, for the association's life.
so he did.
It was brilliant, Councillor Cobb. I'd like to point out it wasn't. It was probably the only one in the south, even Goodwood Council, the festival.
They're not hardy like us, Hythe.
Agenda item 8 is public forum. Mr. McLean, would you like to?
Yes. Do I have to stand up? I wouldn't normally, but I'm a bit wet.
No.
Don't see, don't want to do it, it just gets bigger. Right, okay, we have got 1 parish councillor, 2 district councillors and a county councillor that look after a part of the area that I'm reporting on, which is from Park Close to South Street. I met with the county councillor and the district councillor quite a while ago and was told that that would be reported. It is in a hell of a mess. The tree roots are coming up and the trees are overgrown on the ground and above. Weather like this, I know everything grows, but it's very, very slippy. There are a lot of children use it to go to school. There's a lot of senior citizens use that path, and I would like to know when the county council are going, or somebody else is going to go round to write in it, please.
Councillor, where
I'll be happy to answer. Yes, I did attend that, and we did look at that. But there's 2 things to bear in mind. First of all, whenever we report something, they don't instantly go and fix it. They send an officer, expert, to have a look at it. He then looks at it, looks at the trees, looks at, in this case, the roots that were through the up in the path and all the rest of it. He then grades it with all the other paths he's looked at. And it might be number 1 on the list. or it might be 101 on the list. So that's one thing to bear in mind. The other point about that, I'm not sure it is a Hampshire County Council trip. I think it might be an NFDC one. I'll make some inquiries and follow that up for you, okay?
Well, I was told that it was between Hampshire County Council, and because it leads onto a council estate, it's part of the district council.
Yes,
So I know that everybody is very, very busy, but it's not any use just picking up a phone. If you're a councillor, you've got to keep biting at their ankles. So please get on with it. Thank you.
I will be truly castigated if I bit anybody's ankles. Also, I probably couldn't reach that well. But I will be quite happy to chase it up again.
And can I have a letter to say that something's going to be done?
Well, they don't think it's serious enough, probably, but I will chase it up again.
Well, if there is an accident, they will take it serious, you know. I rest my case.
Thank you.
Thank
I will
you.
chase it up again.
Thank you.
On my level, yeah.
Thank you.
As residents of Oak Road, Mrs. Plaskott and I recently submitted a petition to Hampshire County Council requesting a speed limit on Oak Road, Tarple Road and Oak Close to be 20 miles per hour. The road seems to be narrowing. The cars are larger, the edges more broken, making it very difficult to walk, cycle and negotiate if disabled. Also, residents are finding it extremely difficult to exit their property, which has led to accidents occurring. The most recent one leading to a resident's owner's van being right off, causing much distress. The vehicle was going fast, but because he had the right of the road, it was the person's fault. That van was a write-off, and a lot of people were very upset about. Hampshire County Council says there is a survey regarding 20 miles per hour throughout Hampshire. So I'm asking, please make sure our road and area are included. As residents, we do not want any more accidents. Also, Roman Road, North Road, we've got 2 schools and all the kids are going to these schools and they go down Nash Road. It's a nightmare. Of course, the summer holidays now and it's lovely, but it is a huge problem because we have no pavements. The road is very neglected. I've lived there 60 years and I've never seen it so bad. And we have a district councillor living at the end who has done nothing.
Thank you, Councillor Wentworth.
Right, okay, there's 3 issues here. First of all, we talked about Hampshire County Council 20 miles per hour. Way back, it must be in the noughties, they introduced 20 mph limits in certain parts of the community, one of which is outside this very building. They then stopped doing it, because I asked for a number of roads, including that one, to go 20 miles, so they're not doing it, Well, about 2 years ago, they decided perhaps we should revisit this. For whatever reason, it's dragged out. They're supposed to be revisiting this, I think within the next 12 months. And it'd be up for this parish council and me as well to look for various roads that need to have 20 miles per hour. And clearly Oak Road and the roads off it is the first place you think of because there's no pavement, right, and the issues you've mentioned. So that's the first point. It just so happens that you may have noticed I've already written to Hampshire about the situation with Oak Road. And I'll be meeting Peter Goodchild, who's the team leader for this area for road safety in Dibden Parish on Friday, to show him what Oak Road is like and the problems that you can, it's clear as day, you don't need so actually taking round that and we'll look at North Road as well, because there's no substitute for get the officers and actually take them to see the problem, right? That's better than words, so I've got to do that. And the third thing is about Roman Road North. Roman Road North can be dangerous, at least near misses. That's because there's no path. I was thwarted by a previous Conservative administration of getting one in some years, about 5 years ago, so longer than that was, no, it's probably 8 years ago, before, when NFDC had the highway contract for this, but it's gone back to the Hampshire Council. So I have asked, can this be put on the list to be done? I only had a reply this week. How fortunate is still coming out. And they said they recognise the categories for a path on Oak Road is met. However, there is a very large list throughout Hampshire, sort of like I said earlier. And this path, although it meets the criteria, it will need funding. And one of the issues is that the council can apply for a certain type of funding. And I emailed the clerk this week, and she has asked Hampshire to try and explain what we have to do to try and help with this community funding to get pathing, because it really is needed. There's two areas in our community that really need a path. One is in Dibden, near Beechwood Pond, and the other one is Roman Road North. But local government moves at the speed of a fleeting snail on a good day, right? So, but we are trying to look at things to address it. And the last point on this, for both of those paths actually, that NFDC is sitting on millions of pounds of community infrastructure level money. And only a fraction of, well not fractions there, it's only a portion of this is allocated to projects. And I have asked the new Director of Place and Sustainability need to put it on the committee to discuss this, because if we can get this money that's unallocated, sit in the bank doing nothing, available, we can apply, not just Hythe Dibden, all communities throughout the forest, for use of this money for things like paths and all that, because that's what infrastructure is.
Sorry, can I just for a point of record? Councillor Wade, as the county councillor, we had a statement that Councillor Osborne has done nothing about that situation. As a county councillor, would you like to correct the record?
Yeah, the highways is 100% a county issue. The Councillor Osborne has often come to me about the situation at Oak Road, taking county's interest, which is there, and I've taken that on board. And you couldn't get a harder advocate for the issues you said, but because it's not a district issue, she can't do anything. It sadly falls in the court of Hampshire County Council. Thank you, Councillor Dowd, for pointing it out, just so for clarification purposes.
I'd just like to support everything the resident said. Councillor Wade, Malcolm Wade will know from canvassing the area that the issue of speed came up not only in Oak Road but on North Road on several occasions, and I've been written to by a number of residents in North Road and Nash Road about speeding. So I'd just like to add my support to everything that's been said and put as much weight as we can behind trying to fix it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No more question.
Okay, I'll bring the public forum to an end.
Alright.
And have any councillors got any questions of other councillors? Brief questions. Councillor Harrison.
Okay, this question really is for all councillors, but I'll do it through you because it's about a memorial to a previous councillor. I received a letter, it's not very long, I'll just read it out and it'll explain. State Councillor Parks, who's recently deceased. Dear Hythe Dibden Parish Councillors, Graham Parks was a stalwart for this community and gave so much of his time and life through the community centre, the Waterside Heritage, the Training Association, and specifically planning. We all know he was a great planner. He was a figurehead who drove through our neighbourhood plan. I believe that we should remember Graham, and after talking with his family and the Ordnance Survey, he used to work for the Ordnance Survey, he was a surveyor before he retired, I would like to propose that we site a memorial trig point in Prospect Place in remembrance of Graham. I've liaised with the Ordnance Survey and they support this proposal. The trig point can assist all organisations and landowners in the future to build at specific heights, having that dating point that can be referred back to. So please, on behalf of Graham's family and this community, I would like to request the permission of the Parish Council to erect a stone memorial trig point in Prospect Place Gardens. I'm proposing to start a GoFundMe to raise the money for this memorial, and I hope that we can provide a fitting memorial to such a fantastic supporter of this community over the years. So this person isn't asking for any money,
It's a really nice idea.
it's just asking if we can do it. And I realise that you probably have to agenda it as an item for the full council to decide. But as Councillor Wade said, it's a good idea, it's a big support of our community. Those who are older, there's a lot of new people actually, so we probably remember Graham. That one.
If you could send me details to me, we can look into it. Just to say that there was a covenant on the land, so we'd have to check what is allowed and what isn't.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's it.
You always find somewhere else before we can put it there.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison. That sounds a lovely idea. I also understand he was a chap who was pretty vociferous about Dibden Bay.
Yes, he always.
Oh, yes.
And he was a stalwart with the backbone of the neighbourhood plan, which, as you all know, gives us more money, more seal money, and protects us from unscrupulous developers.
Good idea.
I can't remember who else, sorry, I was picking up. Anybody else with another question? Councillor Clark.
Yeah, just for Councillor Wade, just following an ongoing issue with Fussell Cut Coast, we're going to look into land that the HCC could probably sell to residents in that area once the bus shelter is removed.
I didn't think that was me. I thought it was that was it me or was it the council with that parish council?
We don't own the land as a parish council, and I believe that the bus shelter is going to be removed on
The 18th.
Yeah.
We don't own the land, it's the county council who own it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's in the minutes now, from the last meeting.
Who are you dealing with at the county over that from myself?
I'm dealing with Adam Craig, who's the transport manager. I'll give you the details.
Yeah, if you give me the details, I'll chase it up then. See if they want to buy a bit of land back.
Just to kill it really, in terms of
Yeah.
any future encroachment on the land by whoever wants to smoke it.
Yeah, send me the details.
I'll send you what I've got now.
Can I ask another one?
Yes, you may.
What's the chap? I've received a communication from a chap called Phil Downey, who's the lead officer at Network Rail. And it was purely by chance, we were all stuck on the train together, and I saw him and I asked him to formally write to me just about a business case decision yet on the Waterside Railway. He said no, they haven't reached a decision as yet. They were hoping to reach it by the end of this summer. He said that there were a number of other issues that have been raised. Mostly it's about the funding issues, but they were hoping to at least resolve those issues with Treasury so that there would be a decision by the end of the summer. And in that case, he also took the opportunity to remind councillors that the Waterside Wanderer ticket is available, which uses Hythe Ferry as well as the railway and the buses.
That's interesting.
That's £13.50 per day.
Thank you. Councillor Wade.
Are you aware, Chairman, that on the same topic as that, some of our obviously very observant residents noticed that there were cameras attached to some of the signposts of Southampton Road. And there were also cameras placed in Marchwood as well. And whilst they were placed there by I think the company was called Risk Business Solutions, and they are commercial activity, and I think they're employed by one of the Brick Network Rail to monitor the traffic usage down those roads, where in context of looking at where the stations will be put. Because in our sort of local plan earlier, the plan was always to put the stationary Hythe on a new road on the bank where the old library was. Well, Network Rail, with an eye for saving £1 want to put it on Meaden's site, even though the majority of people are against it because there's no car parking there. And I suspect these cameras there are some for it. But I've already written to them and said that's the wrong place to put it. You've got to put it on the library car park. It's always planned to go. But yeah, so there is stuff going on about the station, and there are often railway workers at the crossing across Bank.
Yeah.
So yeah, so watch this space. Really.
Thank you. Any more questions? Item 10, Prospect Place, creation of a bund to alleviate flooding. Are there any words to go with this, or shall
I think everything's in the report, members.
Okay, to receive details of the quotes and to agree the following recommendations. 1, that the quotation supplied by Company 1 for £18,225 be accepted. 2, that a contingency sum of £1,825, 10%, is provided. 3, that the council agrees to the reinstatement cost details in the report of up to £4,000.
Why don't you take questions, if there are any, proposals?
Are there any questions?
It's been a long time in the coming. That's
True.
Yeah, we needed the planning commission, didn't we?
Yeah.
So, is everyone happy that we expend this money?
I propose we accept.
We propose to accept the recommendations on block.
Yeah.
Okay, propose and accept the recommendations. Can I see a show of hands? Move on to finance, 2023 to 2024. First off, to receive the bank reconciliation report for April, May and June 2023. B, to receive the first quarter variant report for April, May and June 2023. C, to approve the accounts for payment for April, May and June 2023. Do you want to do those as three things together?
I'd say A and B are happy to be noted, possibly by council.
So A and B happy to be noted by council?
Yes, Chair.
And then C, you need a proposer and seconder.
Can I have a proposer?
Happy
or
to propose.
Seconder? Thank you. All in agreement? Thank you. D, to receive the financial strategy for April to June 2023. Does anyone have any comments? Does anybody have any questions? No? Okay.
I should have declared an interest really, shouldn't I? I forgot to do so. So I will not vote for 11E.
Yes, thank you.
Sleeping.
So noted that we've received the financial strategy for April to June 2023. Item E, to note that GP&F have approved a grant application from Watercan for start-up cost of £1,000.
1,000.
1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. to agree to, via these funds from the Climate Committee budget, to replenish GPNF grants budget. Do we
So
have
proposed.
proposed? Second. All in agreement? Thank you. At 12, the exclusion of press and public. To resolve that the press and public be excluded from the meeting for the following business on the grounds that it involves a likely disclosure of exempt information as defined in Part 1 and Schedule 12 of the Local Government Act 1972.
Propose and second to go into
So I
session.
propose.
Happy to propose.